Hello friends, welcome to my channel Essentials of Management. Today we are going to continue with Occupational Health Management series. We will have discourse 2, which is part 2 of total 5 parts of the topic awareness about occupational health. Today we will look into physical environment hazards and its controls. Friends, in the first discourse, we looked into what is occupational health, what is industrial hygiene, and what are the different hazards which pose problems to the health of the workers. Out of that, we will discuss physical environment hazards today. So, following are the physical environment hazards normally present in factories. So, it is across the different industries. So, what are those? First is noise, second is bad illumination, third is poor ventilation, and fourth is heat stress. Now, there is another rarely possible hazard, that is ionizing radiations and non-ionizing radiations. Now, generally non-ionizing radiations are the ultraviolet rays or infrareds, and ionizing radiations are alpha, gamma, beta rays, X-rays, laser, etc. The meaning is they ionize your body cell plasma. They may cause cancer and many other related diseases. Now, the ultraviolet rays, they come out of the hot work, that is the welding and all that, and generally X-rays or alpha, beta, gamma rays are used in non-destructive test and so on. In hospitals, the X-rays are used. But as far as the radiations are concerned, particularly ionizing radiation, it is limited to very few industries, and very elaborate controls are required to control this ionizing radiations particularly. So, we will not go into the specifics of the radiation hazard. We will limit ourselves to the major physical environment hazard, that is noise, bad illumination, poor ventilation, and heat stress. The first is noise. By definition, it is unwanted sound. I need not explain you what is the meaning of noise. So, we experience it nowadays everywhere. It is considered as a part of air pollution. Very importantly, noise is air pollution. Now, the main sources of noise are factories. You are well aware that the noise from machinery and other industrial activity, more or less, means it may be less, it may be very high. Transport like road, rail and air transport, nothing to explain. Public places like markets, railway stations, bus stations, etc., etc. Social and religious activities like public meetings, marriage parties, religious processions, and particularly in our country, we are very much enthusiastic and we try to create as maximum possible noise whenever there are marriage procession or the religious processions. Now, types of noise there are different types of noise. You can categorize them as the shearing noise, cutting, chiseling, hammering, whistling, blowing, blasting, humming, etc. Now, how to control noise pollution? Friends, we are going to have a separate discourse on noise. So, in this discourse, we will look into all these hazards, particularly noise hazard, in short. So reduce noise at the source. Which is the source of the noise? You try to reduce it at the source level. So engines used in transport vehicles and machinery used in factory, etc., should be redesigned to create less noise and should be provided with effective silencing devices as well as acoustics and enclosures. Now, just for the sake of example, if you travel in a normal bus in our country and you travel in a luxury bus in our country, so you will find there is a difference in the noise. Why? Because there is a difference in the engine of the normal bus and engine of the luxury bus you are traveling. Maybe it is Benz or other company. Then in case of vehicles, there are silencers. In case of the generators, electrical generators, there are silencers. So there has to be silencing devices, and if possible the acoustics. You will find that in the panels of the generators, in the generator enclosures. So nowadays the generators come with the enclosures, so the noise can be reduced to a great extent, and in that you will find that there is a layer of a acoustic material like sponge or something which absorbs the noise. And you have to create enclosures in factories for the machines or the areas you have to enclose, like sandblasting. You cover that area so the noise does not go out. Or some machines are there which make noise more than 100 decibel, 120 decibels. So in such machines you have to have the enclosure so the surrounding is not affected. Second is proper and timely maintenance. If you maintain the machines properly, they will make less noise. Otherwise there will be a lot of vibrations and noise will be created. By imposing noise limits for vehicular traffic in particular zones like schools, hospitals and congested areas. So you see that board, no horn, whenever there are schools or the hospitals or courts. So the boards are put and you are not supposed to do honking in that area. Enforcement of law and awareness in public. So there are laws now that after 10 o'clock there should not be any public address system used or the loudspeakers used. And very importantly, there is a great need of creating awareness in public about the sound, because sound about the noise, not sound, about the noise, because noise create a permanent damage to your ears. So you don't know how you are going to lose your hearing capacity. So use of PP like earmuffs or plugs at workplaces with high noise level. So this is a general description about how to control the noise pollution. We will go into the very details when we will look into noise pollution separately. Bad illumination. So any workplace needs suitable and sufficient light. Please understand the words suitable and sufficient. There is no need to have very excessive lighting. So according to the work you are doing, you should have the light, and it should be a suitable light. Means sometime you may need a general light or distributed light, somewhere you will need the focused light or concentrated light, like that. So it should be suitable and sufficient. It may be natural or artificial or combination of both. So in factories generally in daytime use of natural light is done to a maximum level, but still you need the artificial lighting inside. Natural light is best if sufficiently available. Generally in big buildings it is not possible to only use the natural light. So most of the cases you have to use the combination of natural and artificial light. The arrangement should be such that it should not create any shadows. So at workplace, the distribution of the lights should be such, they should be arranged in a such manner that there are no shadows. It should be uniform, well distributed and devoid of glare and gloom. Very important, light should be distributed over uniformly and there should not be glare. You can understand the meaning of glare and gloom, that is darkness. So at some places there is a dark areas, at some places there is a more illumination or sometime reflection coming from some object, or and so there is a glare created. And very importantly, there should not be any flicker in the light. The level of illumination depends upon the type of job being performed. If the detailing required is more, you need higher level of illumination. So normal corridors or the roads up to 100 lux, it is sufficient. But at workplace or in workshop, you need around 250 to 300 lux. Where you need more detailing, like you are assembling, you may need 500 lux. If you are assembling jewelry or watches, wrist watches, so there you may need 1000 lux. So the range is from 50 lux to 1000 lux. Bad illumination causes eye fatigue for short duration and myopia or other eye problems in long run. And very importantly, it may cause accidents due to invisibility or poor visibility. So you may trip, you may slip and you may strike somewhere because you can't see that object in the darkness. Okay, if you are going over a stair and there is no light, so you may fall down from the stair, you may slip and fall down like that. Poor ventilation. So you understand the meaning of ventilation, there is no need to explanation for that. So ventilation in the factory should be good to avoid built up of heat, humidity, stale air, odor or high concentration of toxic substances in the working area. So you know that there is a lighting inside, so some heat is emitted, your machines are working, so they become hot, or you are doing certain processes where the heat is involved. It may be exothermic heat, or if the process required certain heat and there may be humidity accumulated, and if there is no air change, there will be stale air and it will give certain odor because people are working. So you can have they may sweat and you may have a particular odor inside. And if certain chemical processes are going on, then there may be eruption or evolution of different fumes or gases which may be toxic. Like example, if you are doing the galvanizing process, then there will be release of the heavy metals while doing that galvanizing operation. So good ventilation, why it is required? So good ventilation dilute the air pollutants by blowing the fresh air from outside into plant or working area. There should be minimum 5 to 6 air changes per hour at workplace. So if there is a room, a big workshop room, so normally if you want to have a comfortable atmosphere, then there should be minimum 5 to 6 air changes. Means whatever the air is there by volume, it should be changed minimum 5 to 6 times per hour. Now how to do that? So there may be natural or cross ventilation. So if you have the building in such a manner facing the wind, if there is a southwest wind, generally in our country you get the southwest wind. So if you have the building and position the building in such a way that the southwest wind comes inside, and if there are windows opposite to each other, there will be cross ventilation and sufficient air from outside will come. If it is not possible, then you can have the forced ventilation, you can have the air handling units and bring inside the outside air with the help of those air handling units and the big fans. Then you may take out the air from the workplace and throw it out by local exhaust ventilation, and it all depends upon the climate and topography of the place. At some places, if you are at the higher level, if your factory is at a higher level, then you may get better wind. If you are positioned in a southwest way, then you get the proper wind. And climate, if it is very hot climate, you need more air exchanges. If the climate is cold, probably the requirement of the air changes will be less. So it depends on the climate, topography of the place, wind direction, as I said, type of the building, the process being carried out, and so on. And ultimately, if that is not enough, and you may have the air conditioning. So air conditioning will take care of all the ventilation problem. So the ventilation should be proper and sufficient so that the workplace remains comfortable with moderate temperature, say around up to 28 degree, means from 20 degree to 28 degree. So it remain moderate, a fresh renewed air and concentration of pollutants below threshold limit values. So the ventilation should keep the place comfortable. There should be fresh renewed air, and very importantly, the pollutants should not linger on, they should be immediately taken out of the workplace. It is a subject of engineering control. We just talked about that. There may be cross ventilation, there may be exhaust ventilation, there may be forced ventilation or air conditioning. So this is a subject of engineering control. Poor and improper ventilation may cause discomfort, heat stress, and acute or chronic exposure to pollutants. If the air change is not there, definitely you will feel, and if the crowding is there, more number of people are there, so definitely you will feel discomfort. There will be heat accumulated and you will feel heat stress, and you will be exposed to different pollutants produced during the process being carried out. Number of people at workplace, room or hall is also an important criteria. I just said overcrowding. So there should be the number of people according to the volume of the area. If there is a room, in that room, how many people should be accommodated? So there is a recommendation given by Factories Act. So according to Factories Act 1948, 14.6 meter cube space by volume is required per person. It regulates the overcrowding at the workplace. And mind well, the height, when we are talking about by volume, the height should not be beyond 5 meters, because sometimes the factory building may be of 10 meters or 12 meters height. So we are not considering the entire height, but we are considering around 4 to 5 meters above the factory floor level to calculate the volume. We will come to heat stress. So heat is a form of energy, you know that. It can be transmitted from one body to another by means of conduction, convection and radiation. Now suppose you are working in the factory and you are exposed to high temperature than your body temperature. So your body temperature is say 98 degree Fahrenheit. Okay. So if it is more than that, the outside temperature, means the room temperature, is more than your body will gain heat from the surrounding, and Vice versa, in case where the surrounding is cold, your body will start, convecting the with the help of convection, the body heat will be transferred to the surrounding. So it is the law of heat, that the heat gets transferred from the body with higher temperature to the body to the lower temperature by means of conduction, convection and radiation. Now secondly, heat is produced by a metabolic process in our body. Very importantly, we have a metabolic process, and that metabolic process is exothermic, and so generally our body creates heat, right? So if a person cannot lose heat from his body, whatever heat he gains from hot surrounding cause to rise in temperature of the body. So temperature of the body starts rising if your body is gaining the heat continuously. Okay, it is not dissipating but gaining the heat. So person working in metal extraction industries, foundries, hot rolling mills, forging areas, glass industries, electroplating, sugar industries, etc., etc., they are exposed to extreme hot condition. All these industries which I have mentioned, you will find there is very, very hot atmosphere inside, because the processes are such that there is a generation of heat. Now, what are the ill effects of heat stress? Man's efficiency and general well-being are influenced by the warmth of the environment in which human being lives and work. So if it is sufficiently warm, you will feel better, you will work efficiently. If your surrounding is very hot, your efficiency will generally go down very early, because you will not find the atmosphere comfortable, there will be discomfort and you will have the fatigue. Okay, so comfortable atmosphere is very, very important with a moderate temperature. So prolonged exposure to very high temperature, especially when performing physical work, may lead to, so if you are continuously working in high temperature, there may be heat stroke. Rise in body temperature between 40 degrees centigrade to 43 degrees centigrade. So generally beyond 42 degrees centigrade, human body cannot sustain that heat. So by metabolic heat production and thermal environmental stress, so you may have the heat stroke. Generally in our country, the summers are very hot, and in every summer you will find that there are people who are dying on the roads because the temperature have soared up beyond 42 degree, 45, 46, 48 degrees centigrade in many of the areas in our country, in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Bihar and so on. So every year there are deaths because of the death stroke in summer. It causes dry skin, so your skin becomes dry. Cessation of sweating, because there is a dehydration, so the sweating stops, and fatality within 24 hours. So permanent damage to your nervous system. It may cause the damage to your nervous system. Then there is another thing that is called as heat exhaustion, that you become exhausted. So patient feels extremely uncomfortable, fainting with slow pulse, so pulse become low, your skin become moist, fall in blood pressure, collapse from circulatory deficiency, so the blood circulation will become deficient, and with tiredness and giddiness, nausea, so you may feel very tired, you may feel giddy, you may feel like fainting, so there will be a nausea, and your breathing will become irregular, and there will be loss of motor control, means your movements, hand and foot movement will be hampered. So these are the different ill effects of the heat stress, and so you have to see that the heat remains low around say 20 to 28 degrees centigrade, and atmosphere remains comfortable. So the other ill effects of the heat stress are you will get cramps, you will feel irritation, or there will be irritability, weakness, fall in the level of sodium chloride below critical level. So generally if you feel exhausted, you get that lemon juice with high quantity of sugar and salt. So it restores the salt level in your body. So reduced body plasma, rapid pulse rate, loss of sweating and skin disorders. So these are different ill effects of the heat stress. So what are the remedies? So reduce body temperature to 39, at least bring it down to 39 degrees centigrade by sponging with cold water. You know that in hospitals also, if you have high fever, they start sponging your body with cold water. Wrapping with cold wet towels. So you can bundle your body in the wet towels. Bring the patient to cooler temperature conditions. Allow to rest. Take ample of fluids by mouth. So let the person rest, bring him into the cooler temperatures and ask him to take as maximum fluids, means water or juices, by mouth. Person working in very hot conditions should have less working hours with proper rest periods and job rotation. So these are the administrative controls that reduce the working hours, give the more number of rest periods and keep on rotating people on the job. So if you are working in that particular very hot areas, you work for 8 days, then you are transferred to some other area, some other person takes your place, like that. So this is called as the job rotation. So reduce the working hours, give number of rest periods and do job rotations. So this is all about the physical environment hazard. We looked into noise, heat stress, ventilation and illumination. We will look into noise separately. So friends, thank you very much for watching. You can resume viewing further by switching on to discourse 3, which is ergonomic hazards and physical fatigue. So thank you very much. Please do not forget to share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.